This will be awkward. True story, my water supply got cut off for a whole week right when I needed it the most, because I hadn't posted anything in a month and was secretly planning this 7 videos a week challenge as a comeback experiment and to make up for it, and last week was the most important week where I had to hunker down, finish everything, hit my deadline. I was still short of half the videos and everything needed to go smoothly. Things did not go smoothly. The administration decided to cut the water supply for the whole building to work on the plumbing for a week. Every day between 9 to 5 I had no water. Every day I had to find new and creative ways to expend bodily waste or hold it in. Now you can visit a friend, go to the mall, make all these trips, keep going out and buying gallons and gallons of water just to flush one Drax-sized turd, but it got to the point where I couldn't afford to keep doing that. I needed to finish this shit. Well, not the shit, the content shit. The shit is locked behind a paywall. Pay for the big dump DLC, no money for early access, fuck my life. I cursed my luck as I grumpily worked on my videos and struggled to get to the finish line in time. One of many cases that made me suspect I have negative points invested in the luck skill. I didn't even drink or eat anything on most days for fear of that pushing the massive demonic turds further down and exacerbating the issue. But then a different thought crept up. Being forced to lock in, delay cooking, cleaning, drinking, and bowel moving, which I indeed sometimes naturally do when I have to hit a deadline, is what a more positive person than I would interpret as a gift from God in disguise. Rejoice! The universe is actually secretly helping you to reach your goal. See, it's all for your benefit, because all those menial tasks take time which you don't have, so this way you're basically forced to succeed. What a blessing in disguise. I know this is a stupid example, but feel free to extrapolate to something more dramatic. Your wallet getting stolen, your car getting crashed, a Mortal Kombat 3 movie getting greenlit, whatever. You can always try to see some kind of upside to it. And here's the thing. I know there's power in seeing the glass half full, and it's an objectively better, more productive experience than interpreting things as bad, but I have trouble implementing that mindset because it's fundamentally unscientific. The people who do implement it lead happier lives, that's probably true. But people like me struggle with it because it's clearly delusional. This is no gift from God, you're just a victim of unlikely probability. Now, it is scientific in the sense that the mind affects the body. Of course, psychologically, some real things happen there when you see things positively or as fate or providence or as a gift that enable your brain to push your body past its usual limits, and even science itself would see the science in that. So it's kind of a paradox. There's science hidden in the unscientific thing. How the fuck are you gonna segue from this to the main topic of the video? I'm getting there, don't worry. Patience, said I to my bowels. The problem is you can't have a scientific discussion about it because the thing has to remain unscientific to be effective. The moment you know it's a mental trick, it loses its potency. Like if you talk to a person who believes in magic and their life is better for it, the moment you convince them that there's no such thing as magic, their life gets unequivocally shittier. That's why religion has survived for this long. It's why magic is such a popular thing in movies and books, which by the way, I just realized that magic is fundamentally anti-storytelling. Just like how faith is fundamentally unscientific, magic is anti-storytelling. And I don't mean, oh, we thought it was magic, but it turns out it's this pseudo-scientific crap. No, I mean actual magic that's meant to be magical, supernatural, and thoroughly unknowable, inherently mysterious. Like Dungeons & Dragons magic, where you have sorcerers and wizards and they all tap into the same mystical force of magic, or different flavors of it, and it's all just magic. It's birthed and maintained by the gods or whatever other bullshit, but as for what it actually is, it's magic, and it can do anything. And this is so fucking curious, because when you unpack this, when you strip the concept down to its very core, magic, as a literary device, it's actually not a literary device, it's an anti-literary device. Because magic can do anything. So at any point, it threatens to destroy the internal logic of the story. This is why magic systems were invented, to try and impose some structure over what is, ostensibly, the nemesis of storytelling, its mortal enemy. Because magic could just swoop in last second and resolve the whole plot. Deus Ex Machinas, those are a form of magic. It's the same thing. You go through all this hardship and struggle and it seems hopeless, but at the very end, a giant turtle lion or godchild appears and magically saves the day out of nowhere. Or the opposite, you narrowly defeat the final boss, hurrah, the day is saved, everyone cheers, and then a giant meteor falls from the sky, nuking everyone into extinction. The end. Oh, okay. Well, that was random. What was the fucking point of all this? I held my pee in for 3 hours for that? Wow. Should have stayed home. My 2-year-old's yelling would have been more entertaining. Would have saved some babysitter money too. That's what magic is, technically. So it's a very interesting paradox, how these two things, magic and storytelling, coexist the way they do. It's almost like separate forces diametrically opposed that continually try to wrest control of the plot. Now, of course, you could argue that storytelling itself is an exercise in magic, because you're essentially a dungeon master and you can write whatever you want and it'll happen. There's no rules. And that's technically true, but the art of storytelling is all about not doing that. The things that successfully get the label of stories and our stamp of approval in this sense are plots that actually make some sense, even if just internal sense within the story's own internal logic. Stuff that's completely random all the way through doesn't earn the privilege of being called a story. It's at worst random gibberish, at best a shit story. And speaking of shit stories, this video literally is a shit story, at least the first part was. Perhaps the interplay between magic and logic, between faith and science, perhaps that's the thing that we find interesting. When I think of what attracts me to magic, supernatural elements, or just the mysterious elements of a story and of the real world in general, because I am attracted to mystery more than most, I've always been fundamentally fascinated by it, and when I try to explain to myself why, this whole picture starts to get a little bit clearer. There's two drives here. One is to uncover the mystery, to explain the magic, to get to the spoilers, to reveal the plot twist, which is a very human, very masculine drive in particular. It's what motivates man to explore the world, science the shit out of it, figure out how everything works, innovate, advance civilization, conquer, grow, expand, cure, progress, immortalize, transcend. And the other part of it is just an appreciation for the mystery for its own sake. The same way you'd appreciate a piece of art, which by the way also has a lot to do with mystery. Endlessly wondering about the author's intent, about what it all means, musing about all the little details and what they could mean, and what they probably don't mean, but it's a cool interpretation anyway. We want to nurture and display that mystery, unspoiled, proudly, like we would display a pretty flower on a windowsill, and in both cases for the same reason. Because there's something beautiful about it. And the second reason might seem quaint compared to the first one, but bringing this back full circle to everything we've discussed, what do you think faith, magic, and religion are? They're the exact same thing. They are all an expression of humanity's love of mystery. The only reason they've endured for so long is because we adore mystery. We can't get enough of it. So it's not quaint at all. It has tremendous power over us. And this is the greatest paradox of all, because the drive to uncover the mystery and the drive to nurture and preserve the mystery are antithetical. They are opposites. And yet, they both exist within us. And as if to give even more ammunition to the glass half full argument, this very video was birthed because of my troubles with the plumbing, and because of that, I was able to slot in my 7th video for the week and complete the challenge. Maybe I would have pulled something else in time out of my ass, besides backed up poop, maybe not, we'll never know. But again, a positive person would see this as a good thing, a superstitious person would see it as fate, and a religious person would see this as providence, whereas the only thing I see is no water coming through the tap. Anyway, fun topic of discussion. I think, for me, I don't need to know that all magic within a story is just unexplained science or anything like that, but I do want it to conceal and at least partially reveal something cool about the world, or that world's lore. For instance, I don't care if the magic in a fantasy setting isn't eventually explained as something physics, molecules interacting in a particular way, humans with special genes in them that generate magnetic fields and that's why they can telekinesis certain things. That's a bit much. Too much of an explanation, especially for a fantasy setting. And this is all make-believe anyway, you don't need to go that hard. But I would like it to be revealed that the source of the magic is some ancient god and how there were hints planted throughout the story that hint at that being the case and who this god is. I don't need science. I don't need a real-world explanation, just an in-universe explanation. And not even an overt one, just an implied one that you can speculate on. Does that make sense? I want a neat structure, an internal logic symmetry to the story. And that tracks. All magic requires to work in a story is to have some internal consistency to it. You don't have to completely explain it, just kind of come halfway, if even that. Like, I don't need to know exactly what the Force is, although I don't mind the midichlorian explanation. In fact, it's more trivia than an explanation that doesn't really kill the magic like most Star Wars fans say it does, topic for another time. But yeah, I don't need to know exactly what the Force is. It's enough to know how that Force operates, what its very general, very vague intentions are, which are clear and consistent. It always seeks some kind of balance between order and chaos, life and death, light and dark, and will constantly tweak and influence events within the galaxy to achieve and maintain it. You can go even more vague than that. I like how, in A Song of Ice and Fire, for instance, there's a lot of magical shit going on. Tons of it, but it's not exactly what it seems, because most characters think most of that magic is divine in nature, granted by some god or another, or curses when there's really horrific magic, that it's some curse from the gods as punishment for wickedness, but it's implied time and again that that's not the case, that these are just horribly misunderstood special powers of the individuals themselves, rather than the manifestation of some god's will. So it's actually the opposite of the Force. It's not a unifying force with its own will, is just a superstition spread by people who don't understand their own power. You don't know this for sure, but it's subtly implied by the storytelling on multiple occasions that magic isn't what it seems to be in that universe. So there's this cool subtext to it, or like two different planes on which the magical storytelling is told. Appearance and essence. How things appear versus how they actually are underneath that. Which is cool. And again, there's an internal consistency to that. It's consistently portrayed that way, so the magic serves a purpose and enhances the storytelling rather than detracting from it. It's cool to me how a writer basically takes this black hole of pure chaos that would normally rip the very fabric of storytelling apart and tames it into a storytelling tool instead. It's so much fun. But yeah, the things your mind wanders to when you need to take a shit. What do I even title this? It's just pure thought stream. Pure brain fart. I don't know, man. I need to do a brainstorming session. Post. Special thanks to Jiggly Puff Puff, Thomas Marshall, Serhi Hrishin, Clocks, Juan Bautista Cortez, Gennaro Chanella, as well as my other members for being irresponsible enough with their spending to support the channel.